Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first keynote session of this Sino-German Agricultural Week. I'm Zhongjun, chairperson of this session. I'm from Nanjing Agricultural University. As we know that food systems are the combination of all actions it takes to produce and consume our food on a day-to-day basis. Our food system feeds 7.9 billion people, employs 40% of the world's population, and generates a third of global GDP. Yet, the food system are both among the main drivers as well as the results of the many interconnected crises facing the world today. So today, in this very important keynote session, we will focus on the challenges that the food system is facing, including what are the challenges faced by the global food system, and what are the possible channels for global food systems transformation, as well as how could organic agriculture contribute to the transformation of the global food system. Today, we are very honored to have three very distinguished experts from academia, from industry, as well as from international organizations. First of all, let's welcome our first presenter, Professor Shenggen. Shenggen will be online. Let me very briefly introduce him. He is currently the chair professor and the dean of the Academy of Global Food Economics and Policy at China Agricultural University. And prior to joining China Agricultural University, Dr. Fan served as Director General of the International Food Policy Research Institute, IFPRI, for 10 years. And he currently also serves as a member of the United Nations lead group for scaling up nutrition movement. He was a member, vice chair, and chair of Food and Nutrition Council of the World Economic Forum. Dr. Fan received a PhD in applied economics from the University of Minnesota and a bachelor's and a master's degree from Nanjing Agricultural University in China, where I am working at. And today, Dr. Fan will bring us a very important topic of the food system challenges from the global perspective. Dr. Fan, the floor is yours. Please keep your presentations within 15 minutes. Thank you. Please go ahead.
I don't know whether you can hear me well. So it's a really great pleasure to share some of the thoughts with you on global food system transformation, and particularly here with the focus of China. So my German friend Joachim von Braun and I have worked together on food system transformation for almost 3 decades, starting from International Food Policy Research Institute. So he returned back to Germany, I returned back to China, and continue to work with our international colleagues, our national colleagues in Germany and in China to promote the transformation of global food systems. So I will share with you some of my PowerPoints with you. So the global food systems transformation, I will speak on 3 issues. One is global food systems are facing multiple challenges. And the 2021 UN Food System Summit and the 2023 stocktaking really have painted a pathway forward. Both Joachim von Braun and I are actively engaged with the Food System Summit as well as stocktaking. And after the stocktaking, there is an international committee, scientific committee on food system transformation. So both Joachim von Braun and I serve in the committee. Then I'll come back to look at China. What is the Chinese food system transformation? What can we learn? What can we share? So the largest challenge, or the biggest challenge we have today, is still hunger. And we still have more than 700 million people who suffer from hunger, lack of food to eat. Now, clearly, the Russian-Ukraine crisis and the recent Middle East crisis accelerated that crisis. And even more people who cannot afford healthy and nutritious foods or the diets. So 3 billion people. So as the business as usual trends show us, we will not be able to achieve zero hunger by 2030. That's the goal of sustainable development set up by the United Nations in 2015. On the other hand, overweight, obesity are rising. So in fact, more than 2 billion people, maybe even more, 1/3 of the world population is either overweight and obese. And here in China, in 2020, more than half of the population over 18 is either overweight and obese. So if you walk in the street in Bamboo, or in Shanghai, Beijing, so one of the two people you see is either overweight and obese. And this is a serious problem. So it's an economic problem, it's a health problem, it is also a, let's say, the human development problem. So when somebody is either undernourished or overnourished, overweight, obesity, then the overall society productivity, well-being will be compromised. So here, particularly, I want to show on the right-hand side, the Chinese increase overweight and obesity over time. So it is really alarming. Now, on the other hand, the planetary boundaries. So our world, our planet, has lots of boundaries. For example, in terms of in terms of fresh water use, land use, functional diversity, and ocean sort of acidification and so on. So there are many boundaries. So I'm afraid that I don't have good news to tell you. We are actually breaching lots of planetary boundaries. Many are in red zones. And in fact, all these red zones, like genetic diversity, overuse of nitrogen and phosphorus, are very much related to food and agriculture. We are losing quite a bit, thousands of species. Biodiversity is lost, and largely because of unsustainable food production in the world. In fact, 60-70% of the biodiversity loss in the world is because of unsustainable food production. So obviously, in addition to, let's say, to climate change, the soil degradation, loss of biodiversity, as I already mentioned, water scarcity. I was so happy that I attended one of the conferences organized by German government in 2012 on, let's say, it's a water, land, ecosystem approach. And that time, we were really alert about the let's say, worsening situation on our environment, water, land, soil, and beyond. So look at water scarcity. So we will see more water scarce in different parts of the world. Unfortunately, it is in developing countries, in poorer countries, where the water scarcity will be the most severe. In fact, half of the population, more than half of the economy, more than half of the food production will come from water scarce region. Then here I wanted to mention the intensified global warming. So I was part of the UN effort in track monitor the carbon emissions. And last year we produced a report called Global Gas Emission Report. And I don't have good news to share with you. Actually, very bad news, very sad news. That is business as usual. If we just follow the current policy, the temperature of our planet will rise by 2.8 degrees. So could you imagine? Right now, this year, it is already the hottest globally, hottest in China, hottest in Europe, hottest in Beijing. And could you imagine the temperature will continue to rise? And many people in Africa, in South Asia, will not be able to survive. They might have to migrate, or their livelihoods definitely will be compromised. Now, so achieving net zero really needs the transformation of our lives, our economy, and the way we have been doing business. Now, obviously, the climate change will affect our food systems directly and indirectly, because rising temperature, crop yields will suffer. And unfortunately, it is poorer regions, poorer countries, where the decline of crop yields will be the highest. And they do not have capacity to adapt to, and obviously not mitigate the climate change. And many people will suffer. So if you look at the right-hand side chart, you will see that many parts of the world, particularly the southern part of the world, are very vulnerable to the shocks, particularly in terms of food security and health. So under this context, United Nations organized the Global Food System Summit in 2021 in New York, September. So this time, it's very different. It is UN Secretary General who organized the summit. It's not the FLDG or Rome-based institution. It is in New York. So the UN Secretary General was able to bring all the stakeholders from UN and from the different countries and so on. So basically, the summit focused on, let's say, a people, planet, a prosperity, 3 Ps, to transform national food system. So, and the regional food system transformation as well. There are 5 action areas. So I will mention this in the next slide. And initiatives, commitments by the government, by the private sector, by the civil society, and knowledge base. And in fact, my German friend Joachim Wurmbrand and I are strong advocate to make sure that the knowledge, information on food system transformation will be shared more broadly. I think this Sino-German dialogue on food and agriculture is a way to go. We need to do more. We need to do more, even more frequently. So the action tracks, yes, 5 action tracks. The number 1 is to ensure access to safe and nutritious food for everybody. So not just the rich people, rich countries, everybody in the world. And shift our consumption towards more sustainable food consumption. And both nature positive production at sufficient scale. So we must protect our nature and advance equitable livelihoods and value distribution. So the food system must benefit poor and hungry people. And finally, building resilience. So these are 5 tracks, and I was involved in at least 2 tracks to make sure that food system will continue to be transformed through the different track actions. So yes, we have achieved some outcomes. So we had 11 global dialogues and 1,600 member states and independent dialogues. Here in China, together with my colleague, we organized at least 5 dialogues at the national level among scientists, policymakers, the private sector, and all, and engaged with millions of people from very diverse backgrounds, and co-created solutions and a pathway for food system transformation, and fostered trust, mutual learning, and innovation. And you will see that more than 200 commitments from civil societies, from people, from youth, and beyond, and presented their own visions, demands, and commitments. Now, the outcomes, we can see that, more than 100 member states have posted national pathways on food system summit, and also a lot of documents. Here in China, our Minister Minister Tang represented China and made a strong commitment to make sure that food system in China is transformed. It's to deliver better nutrition, better foods, and to protect our environment using science, technology, using investment. So after 2 years, what has happened? So in July this year, there was a stock taking in Rome, and I was part of that the effort. So let's see what have happened. So since 2021 Food System Summit, there's a question. So have you developed or are you working on any of the following outputs as steps towards implementation of your country's food system transformation pathway? Because we know that we can talk globally, we can discuss, we can debate, but it is country's action that will lead to concrete results. So look at the right-hand side. So these are the charts of the country outputs. Yes, so many countries integrated their pathways into their national strategies. So in fact, almost 2/3. And then 60% of the countries implemented some of the plans for their pathway. Then down to some of the areas that still needs to be strengthened. So for example, the investment plan, capacity building, official process to institutionalize pathways and so on. So when we move down to more concrete investment actions, and we are very, very, let's say, far away from what we should have achieved. So yes, certain outcomes, certain results have been achieved, but too far away from what we have promised. And a country engagement with national actors. Yes, policies, institutions, investments are important, but equally important is the actors. Then you will see that academic institutions, like myself, it's Joachim von Braun, or the whole China Agricultural University, or maybe CGIAR, yes, they are very much committed. So in fact, 80% of them. But when we move down, then you will see that indigenous people, youth networks, women's organizations have not been actively engaged yet. So their engagement is very limited. Then country progress in 4 thematic areas. So nourishing all people, both nature-based solutions, building resilience, and advanced ethical livelihoods. You will see that the progress really varies. And the key message here is at the country levels, some limited progress has been achieved, but we must scale up. We must accelerate our progress to transform our food system. So now let me look at the case of China. So in fact, China has a lot of strategies, policies. If you bring all this together, it really demands a food system approach, a food system strategy, a food system priorities to make sure that we can use food system for achieving multiple goals at national, regional, or even community level. For example, China has introduced rural revitalization strategy, building agricultural powerhouse called a strong agriculture, the National Food and Nutrition Guidelines, anti-food waste law, healthy China, or 2030 plan. So all these sort of national strategy goals demand food system to be transformed using the holistic approach. And commit from China. So Minister Zhongjun made 3 key points during the 2021 Food System Summit. One is to improve food productivity, prioritize food production and agriculture, increase rural and agriculture input, promote technology development and infrastructure, expand food supply in a sustainable way. So continue to increase food production, particularly nutritious, healthy food production in a sustainable way. The second is to set a multilateral guarantee stable food chain. So global supply chains needs to be protected, needs to be ensured. And then finally, to work together, the international collaboration between North and the South, South and the South, and the tripartite cooperation. So these are 3 key messages from the Chinese minister that is committed to the UN Food System Summit in 2021. So some of the pathway and the plan to strengthen institutions, policies, and investment using food system approach. The technology, we know that technology must be multiple wins. So in addition to yield enhancing, the technology could also help to enhance nutrition, to save water, save land, and build resilience. So I call it multiple win technologies. Here I wanted to focus on policy, institutions, and investment. So number 1 is at the country level, there's a need to set up a leadership group to coordinate national and local food system policies and investment. It is still the case that different ministries are working on different parts of food system transformation. So we need a better coordination to make sure that we can set priorities at the national level, to make sure that we don't work cross purposes. The second is to increase productivity through more innovative technologies. Innovation is a must. So simply just using more inputs is not good enough. The number 3 is to invest in restoring nature resources. So it's not just to that's to maintain the current use, but to restore, go back to protect, restore soil and more trees, to restore water quality, water supply, and then reforming institutions for land improvement, help small farmers upgrade or could expand them the machinery customization services. So here in China, I think the farm size also needs to, well, obviously needs to be consolidated, needs to be increased. On the other hand, the mechanization or other support should be really geared to support medium-sized or even some remaining smallholders. Then from farm to table, so the whole value chain. So it's not just production, the processing, the transportation, and even household consumption. Mainstream nutrition, mainstream low carbon, mainstream sustainability into the whole value chain. Then evaluate the goal of agriculture growth and sustainable development. So we needed to have the data and to track, monitor progress. So, and then we can really see where are we and where are the gaps. And improve the social production system. We know that not everybody will be able to benefit from food system transformation. Yeah, smallholders, maybe just the disadvantaged groups, low-income group. So in that case, we can, let's say, use winners' sort of benefits to compensate some of the poor's costs. It will be so critical to move the food system transformation. And then finally, I wanted to re-emphasize the importance of international collaboration. I think Germany and China are very good, great global force, global drivers. We need to work together to make sure that Germany and China work together to strengthen our food system and also help other countries, Africa, South Asia, Latin America, to transform their food system, to transfer our knowledge, our information, and our technologies to share with them. So with that, I want to thank you. Thank you very much. I hope I will have a chance to visit Anhui again, to visit some of our friends, to look at the sort of startup of the Chinese agricultural reform started in 1978, as Mr. Shui has mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Fan. Thank you very much for giving us such inspiring and informative presentation, informing us of the global food system challenges, as well as the outcomes of the UN Food Systems Summit, and telling us some of the explorations of Chinese food system transformations. And although you could not join us on site, but we believe that the international cooperation between China and Germany and with other countries, of course, are very important, and you are and you will contribute tremendously to that regard as well. And as has been mentioned by Professor Fan, that one of the 5 action tracks to tackling the challenges we are facing is ensure access to safe and nutritious food for all. I think there were quite a lot of experience, not only from China, but from German for us to learn. So today we're very glad and very honored to have an expert from Germany to share with us the experiences in Germany. He is Mr. Markus Wewer, and Mr. Markus Wewer has been a board member of the German Organic Food Production Alliance, where he is in charge of trade-related issues. And he was trained as a farmer and holds a degree in agricultural science from Keele University. And I believe the views and the insights from the industries definitely will bring us a lot of new thinking, and we will benefit tremendously from that as well. So, Mr. Wewer, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation for the 9th Chinese-German Agriculture Week in Chengdu. It's a big pleasure to be here. The I welcome the opportunity to present our view of organic farming and food and its contributions to food security, food quality, and environmental protection. So my name is Markus Wewer. I'm a board member of the BÖLW. So the German has the Ö and Ü. We can translate it later. So I'm a board member for the retail sector, and we have also a member for agriculture and one for food processing on the board. So we have the whole sector. Our president is Tina Andres, and she represents all organic farming, Iran's producer, consumer community with processing and several organic shops in Lübeck. It's a small city in the very north of Germany. I've been working in the organic industry for over 30 years, trained as an organic farmer on organic farms, and studied agricultural engineering at the University of Kiel. It's also in the very north of Germany. I've been working for a well-known retailer in Germany for 6 years, and my area is the responsibility of quality management, food fraud, and organic integrity. So I've been to China 3 times in the last 6 years. And the last time was just for several weeks ago. I was looking for organic ginger. And in fact, I was successful. We have already organic ginger from China in our shops in Germany. So what is BÖLW? BÖLW. It's an alien of German organic food industry. So we are the national umbrella organization for all organic farmers, food processors, and retailers. And we represent the interests of organic associations in Germany, for government in Germany and EU. So the stakeholders from politics, media, NGOs have us as contact person for every related things to organic. And you see some, maybe you know, Naturland, we have one from Naturland here on the podium, and Demeter, they are international organizations for farming, organic farming. So these are some facts about organic productions in China and Germany. And you see we have you have almost the same size of acreage, but in Germany it's significantly higher for the shape. But in China, the organic acreage is developing rapidly, and maybe there will be soon more than 10% organic, sooner than we might think today. It's developing market. So the domestic market for organic products is growing steadily in both countries, and there's a good chance that China will maintain and expand its position as the 4th largest organic market in the world. And we have to know this, it's the 4th market in the world. That's a big deal. You see the turnover, it's almost the same. So Germany is a little bit smaller, but we have a long time of organic movement. So you see some top selling products in Germany. It's not meat and milk, it's the opposite. It's plant-based milk and plant-based meat and also eggs. So maybe that's not the things from China, but we need especially soybeans, organic soybeans, for example, for feeding meat and dairy industry. So also we have fresh ingwer, spices, nuts, dried fruits, honey, and important organic food additives such lecithin for chocolate, for example. So you see this here. Peanuts also. So that's our working as an organic umbrella organization, especially for the government, for the new law from the EU. So we are the contact person for organic farming. So why organic? It's a bit we thought just before. We have the planetary boundaries, so we have much problems in the world with climate crisis, biodiversity loss, soil erosion. That's a big problem. And so we think that organic farming is a very suitable way to address this in an effective and efficient manner. So we have some solutions for the problems in the world. These are some topics: less nutrition loss, negative impact on biodiversity. It's much lower crop diversity, higher soil utility, less soil erosion. That's a big matter also in Germany. And so we think we have some answers. And also we have some work, a big way to work. So we have for the organic integrity more. Sorry for my English. We need reliable, rigorous, and independent control system. That's for Germany a big topic. So first and foremost, it's trust. Trust in Chinese organic legislation, functioning organic control system, and credible organic integrity. On this basis, a domestic organic market can develop in China, and German and European organic products can establish themselves in China and complete the domestic market, and export to Germany and the EU can expand. But also the European Union European must react and recognize China's performance in order to reduce import levels. So we have some problems to get the Chinese organic products to Germany. So we have to identify and reduce negative impacts caused by the provisions of the new organic regulations from 2022 and have get an easier and better way to import from China. Oh. So we are convinced that organic farming offers the best prospects to securing our food supply in our future. And we have some other countries like Austria with almost 30% organic farming, and the Indian state of Sikkim is also 100% organic. So we have some role models who can encourage us to get started and not hesitate. Our former president of the BÖLW, Felix Prinz zu Löwenstein, used to say, we will have 100% organic food or we will have no more food. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Marcus, for sharing us the experience from the industry perspective. In fact, I'm very much impressed by the comparison figures that you have presented to us, especially the one that's showing that 11% of the German farming is organic, while the number in China is only 0.5. Although the total organic turnover of the two countries are similar to each other, and the Chinese is actually taking a growth rate pace of 13%. So we would expect that in the future that China will catch up in this percentage of organic farming, and I'm sure there are quite a lot of things that we can learn from Germany in that regard, from both the farmers' practices as well as the institutional arrangement and the government policies as well. Although I know that the presentation here is only a very short, concise version, I believe, and in the afternoon, we expect that during the panel discussions, and you will share us more on that regard. Thank you very much again. With that, we come to the last but not least presentations of this morning in this keynote presentation session. The presentation will be delivered by Dr. Zhongjun from FAO representative in China. And Dr. Zhongjun has served as assistant FAO representative in China since 2004, and before that, he worked at the International Cooperation Department of the Ministry of Agriculture, and where he also has hosted to the China mission to FAO headquarters. And Dr. Zhang holds a doctorate degree in agri-economics, and he has conducted research on international agriculture and rural economy. And today, he will bring us the topic of challenges of the global food system. So the floor is yours, Dr. Zhang, please.
Distinguished guests, dear friends, good morning. It gives a great pleasure to attend the 9th Sino-German Agricultural Week and the thematic discussion on the challenges facing global food systems. I would like to share some of my insights with all the guests present today. When we're talking about the challenges facing the agri-food system, let's have a look at the progress under the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals agenda. And now, in this year's meeting, we reviewed the latest developments of the 17 development goals, and the current situation is not that positive. About over 30% of the indicators are segmented or even going back. FAO also released a report on the Sustainable Development Goals. And many of our goals is making no progress or even have some drawbacks. I add some statistics to this report. As we can see that in 2022, the proportion of the world's population facing hunger was about 9.2%. And the figure in 2015 was 7.9%. So we can see an increase of hunger population. And in 2021, the proportion of countries facing moderate to unusually high food prices was 21.5%. And the frequency and intensity of natural disasters are rising. And the direct agricultural losses reaching 19.3 billion in 2021. Forest coverage rate decreased from 31.9% in 2000 to 31.2% in 2020. So between 2015 and 2019, the world lost at least 100 million hectares of healthy, productive land annually. So what's the reasons for the no progress or even backwards in our approach to SDGs? That's because the challenges we're facing in responding to global food security. And many of these challenges have direct impact to our agri-food system, such as earthquake, floods, droughts, and pressures is gradually compiled. It have impacts to our agri-food system, undermines its resilience, making it more vulnerable. Pressure can be predicted and can be observed. It is a gradual progress, but shock has happened immediately and cannot be estimated and projected. Its pressure and challenges can be categorized into 4 fields. The first one is environmental field. The pressure includes climate change, biodiversity loss, natural resource degradation, and the shock includes extreme weather, such as droughts, earthquakes, and other global geographical phenomena. And in the biological field, pressure includes antimicrobials, drug resistance, food security, food safety issues, and shock includes pandemic, food safety incidents. In terms of population and economy, pressure includes economic inequality, rapid population growth, and dietary structure changes. Shock includes economic crisis. In the social perspective, pressure includes dilemma, migration, food loss and waste, and shock includes domestic unrest and trade barrier. And I'd like to put one example, listing some facts and numbers to clarify the severe challenges facing our global food system. First is the biodiversity. Among all the 6,000 plant varieties for grain production, 9 of them provide 66% of all the global crop production, from which we can see that it is a little bit simple in terms of the variety and diversity of grain production. And among the existing 7,745 local animal livestock varieties, about 26% of them are facing a risk of extinction. And according to an official report, about 9,600 wild live food animals, about 20% are under threat. The inland and near-sea wetlands have been lost 70% and 60% respectively since the 20th century. And I can see that in 2022, the global population of people suffering from hunger is 735 million. The number of children under 5 with stunted growth is 148.1 million, and 45 million underweight, 37 million overweight. Therefore, we can see challenges raised from the supply side and the demand side. From the biological perspective, the estimated economic losses caused by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2019 are between 8 trillion and 16 trillion US dollars. In 2019, there were 5 million human deaths worldwide related to bilateral antimicrobial resistance. Every year, plant diseases and pests cause global economic losses exceeding 220 billion US dollars. In terms of food loss and waste, from harvest to retail, all parts of the supply chain lost 13% of the world's total food production. And at the consumption part, 17% of food are wasted. Combined together, all the food wasted and lost can feed over 1 billion population. And the gas emission from the wasted food accounts for 8 to 10% of all the greenhouse emissions. We say that the agri-food system is now facing severe challenges. So we must transform our agri-food system and build a more effective, resilient, and sustainable agri-food system. To make it happen, FAO have proposed 3 goals and 4 betters. The first goal is to produce enough food and to feed all the population and eliminate hunger. The second goal is to, through improving agricultural production, to help people have higher income and improve their livelihoods. The third goal is to protect the environment and manage natural resources well, so as they can be sustainably used. The 4 betters are better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life. In China and in the FAO's presence in China, they have conducted 2 aspects of work. The first is to serve China's agriculture, rural people, and rural areas. We support the Chinese government in terms of these areas, including climate change, biodiversity protection, and rural development. And the second aspect of work is to share China's experience to the whole world through South-South cooperation or the tertiary cooperation to help other developing countries to develop their agriculture and rural areas. Today, our event is Sino-German Agricultural Week, so I'd like to make a report about some latest progress in our South-South and tertiary cooperation. We use technologies from Germany and cooperate with Mara, FECC, and technologies from CASS to develop low carbon tea industry. We have invested $2.5 million and have two main results. The result one is achieve a more productive, efficient, and low carbon tea value chain. The second result is improve favorable environment for low carbon tea value chain. And here I also want to wish this project a complete success. In the future, we hope to have closer cooperation with China, Germany, and partners from other countries. We can use advanced technologies from leading countries to help more developing countries and contributing to the transformation of agri-food system and global food security. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Zhang, for bringing us once again the alarming challenges that we are facing of our food system and the urgencies that we should bear in mind that the world resources for food system is actually reaching its boundary, and there are short shocks as well as long-term pressures which might undermine the resilience of our food system. And you also have bring about the importance once again to us, the international corporations and experience sharing, and bring us the promising case, although at the end very concise, of some of the collaborations between China and some other countries in the world. And we do expect that through efforts like the Sino-German collaborations and exchanges in the future, more and more international corporations together to resolve the problem and the challenges of food system for a better production, nutrition, environment, and life effort will be more and more. With that, we have finished the three presentations by our three distinguished experts, and we have a few minutes for possible Q&As from our audience. And I hope that Professor Fan is also still online. Professor Fan, are you still online? Probably there will be questions forwarded to you. Yeah. Let's take a few questions from our audience, and you can identify yourself as well as specify which presenter you would like to ask a question to, or you would like your question to be answered by all of our presenters. Okay, anyone would have questions? Yeah, I see it over there. Okay, please go ahead. Is there a microphone somewhere? 有没有话筒？我们这个工作人员给一下这个我们的提问者。OK， 请问那个我们看一下那个白老师在线上吗？哦，不在线上。OK, so actually Dr. Fan is offline now, so I think your question will be answered.
My question is
OK.
Yeah. So I'm George. I'm founder and CEO of agri-food, and I represent here a startup that is developing cell-cultivated meat. And my question to Marcus is, we've seen on your presentation that the plant-based meat is on growth in Europe and in Germany. And what do you think in terms of the potential of organic certification for cell-cultivated meat? Would it be possible, given the let's say, formulation of this product, given the components that are used during the production of it?
Okay, why not that we collect the questions and we ask the presenters to come over here to answer? I think that would be a good idea. So is there any other questions from our audience? Well, if not, let's take this question first, and we will see if there are other other questions raised or not? Yeah, please.
So thank you for the question. So yet it's not allowed from the EU regulations. It wouldn't be allowed, and I also think it's not acceptable for the organic community. I don't actually think it's not the way for organic, and it's also not I think actually it's not the way for feeding the world. I think so, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I know the time is limited, and we will have the afternoon panel discussions. So more questions would forward it to Marcus in the afternoon if our audience is still at present. And we have only 1 or 2 minutes. If there's another question from our audience, it is also welcome. And I would like to take the liberty of ask Dr. Zhongjun one question, if I permit. 我们张代表，我想请教您一下，您刚才提到了国际。
Mr. Zhongjun, I'd like to ask a question. You've mentioned the importance of international cooperation. So I would like to ask, what's the most important part of international cooperation?
Tackle the challenges of the system, what might be the most challenging or difficult aspect in terms of collaboration? Please come up and give us some just your insights, please. Okay, please.
Thank you for your question. This is a very this question is difficult to answer because international cooperation is faced by many challenges, and every kind of international cooperation is not easy to make it happen. So if I have to name a most challenging part, I think that might be about the environment, especially our response to climate change. It is very urgent to carry out international cooperation in this regard, and it is also very challenging. How to respond to climate change? It requires global efforts and concerted efforts and unified efforts. No country and no group can stop climate change by their own. It requires joint efforts from the whole world. So that's why I think it is the most challenging one. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Zhang. It is really not an easy task to pick or mention just one. There were so many important issues, and it's not easy for international collaboration to form itself naturally. It definitely needs our concerted effort. And with that, we would like to claim that sustainably nourishing a global population of possibly 9.7 billion, I think, by 2050, the estimate by United Nations, while meeting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, it requires an inclusive, sustainable, efficient, nutritious, and healthy food system. And we would like to thank 3 presenters this morning who have shared us their rich insights and give us a lot of food for thought in this noontime. And with that, We would like to thank their presentations, and we look forward to the keynote sessions and the panel discussions in the afternoon. Thank you. That's the end of this keynote session. Thank you.